Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault, and once again I'm coming to you with another range report. And today's range report is on a very highly requested firearm, and a very nice firearm at that. This is the Q Honey Badger, a 300 Blackout pistol on the AR-15 platform, built and designed by one of the most influential designers of probably the past 30 years, and that is Kevin Brittingham, the guy that founded AAC, or the Advanced Armament Company, and he used to work for SIG after that, and now he started a new company, Q. And he has some of the most innovative and interesting names for all of his firearms. And yes, this is the Honey Badger. You guys know the meme that was around a couple years ago about the Honey Badger not caring? Well, he designed a gun around that, and it looks absolutely fantastic. It is featured in many movies and video games. And we're going to talk a little bit about that in a little bit. But before we get into the range report, I want to thank the people that always make these videos possible. First and foremost is the owner of this very fine firearm, and that is my good friend and local subscriber, D. He just wants me to use his first initial, so thank you very much, D. I want to thank my Patreons, as always, because through their monthly support, they help keep the lights on around here, so thank you so much, Patreons. It means a whole bunch. And if you want to be a Patreon, there's a link in the description below. You get to see all these videos a little bit early. And as always, I want to thank the primary sponsor for my video that really helps with all of the ammunition costs, and that is my good friend Mark from Brownworks. If you're a longtime viewer here at the Texas Gun Vault, you guys know I talk about Brownworks in every single range report, and I always want to thank him for all the ammunition that he provides. Mark over there is a master craftsman who can provide an awesome service for you if you have a firearm that you need wood grips for. He can make a wide variety of wood grips out of a wide variety of exotic woods and materials for many different types of guns like Colt 1911, CZs, Berettas, just to name a few. He does amazing work, and what's even cooler about his designs, he can put on custom logos and custom etchings. But I know if you're here watching this video on this Honey Badger, well, maybe you don't own one of those old school guns and requires grips. And you're like, well, I like modern sporting rifles. Well, he also has a laser engraving service for PMags, both for the AR-15 and the AK-47, and I think a few others like 1911 magazines. So here is a PMag with the Texas Gun Vault logo on that. Wouldn't that thing look fantastic in an awesome gun like this? I think it would. Let's see what that looks like. There you go, the mating of Q and the Texas Gun Vault. So, if you have a particular custom logo or something that you would like on a PMag, he can make it for you. So please go over and check out Brownworks' website. I'm going to put a link in the description and as a pinned comment. He supports me here at the Texas Gun Vault, so please go and support him. And if there's something there that you don't see that you want, make sure you contact him and tell him the Texas Gun Vault sent you. Alright, so what is this? As I said, it is an AR-15 style pistol, which I think is also offered as an SBR, that was designed by Kevin Brittingham, the guy that also designed the 300 Blackout, which is the cartridge that goes in this particular gun. And I have to say that I sure wish the 300 Blackout was a more popular cartridge. It is pretty popular, but man, oh man, is it like the melding of the AK-47 and the AR-15. You get so many different options, from supersonic to subsonic and different loadings in it. It's quite an innovative cartridge. But let's talk about this particular gun. As you can see, it has some very unique features, and one of the things that everyone likes about the Q series of Honey Badgers is this really cool telescoping stock, or in this case, a brace. It is actually made and built into both the lower and the upper receiver. You kind of get that MP5 look with that telescoping stock, but on an AR-15 without those arms being outside of the receiver. It's a great look. It really makes this a super duper compact package. So let's go ahead and talk about the things that I like and don't like about this particular firearm. And I always want to start with the positives, and I've already mentioned two of them. The stock or brace, it just looks fantastic, and it's very, very compact. I also like this type of Magpul grip that they put on it. It's called the Magpul K grip. It's a small grip with a little bit more sharp of an angle to it. I think it's perfect for these PDW type of firearms. I absolutely as well love the caliber. And you guys just heard me say, I love 300 Blackout, so this gun is designed around it, and it's pretty darn awesome. And then finally, something that's going to be kind of a borderline like dislike. Well, the thing I like about this is the color. This is a very unique color. In fact, even when they show it in video games, they do a good job of showing this kind of a dull gold color with the gray and black accents. It looks fantastic. But now let's talk about the things about this gun that I may not like, and we're going to go back to the color and the finish of this gun. Now, I don't know if it is this example specifically, but the color on this seems to be a little bit blotchy. I do know that when it comes to anodizing aluminum that you have to be really careful with the prep work, but also every time you anodize in a particular color, it can be a little bit off and different. Black is very forgiving, but other colors are not. And looking at this, it doesn't really seem like the anodization is on there equal. Let me see if I can get this on camera. It may or may not come across. It's really hard to kind of capture. I think you can see it there around the Q logo. Some aspects of the finish look very polished and others do not, but it's more of a color issue than a texture issue, and that's just kind of all over the receiver. So I'm not sure what that is, and I would kind of expect a little bit better from Q. You don't notice it at a distance, but being an OCD gun guy like myself, it would bother me a whole bunch. Another thing about this, and you guys hear me complain about this with miniguns, is the flat face trigger. I'm not sure if they offer it with a different trigger. I do know this is a Geisley trigger. I can tell from the marking on it, but this trigger is flat. Now, I don't think that D has changed out the trigger. Maybe he has. I didn't really research the trigger before doing this video, but I prefer curved triggers, but the trigger pull on it seems to be pretty darn good. And the last thing I'm not a huge fan of is the takedown. I showed in my range report of the Space Invader and the field strip of that video that when you use this particular stock, it doesn't come apart just like a standard AR-15 where you can hinge the upper. You actually have to take off both of the pins and the upper has to come forward. It's a little bit more complex. You can't do it as quick. So if you're going to use this in some type of end of the world scenario, well, if you're out in the field, it's going to be a little bit more labor intensive to field strip it to clear some type of major malfunction. I'm not really a big fan of that, but you have to have that type of takedown because of this stock or brace and the fact that it is so compact. All right, so that's the things that I like and don't like about this particular gun from just handling it here on the table. We're going to get this thing to the range. We're going to see how it shoots. Is it as accurate and as awesome as everybody says it is? Well, let's find out. I'm going to set the target at 10 yards. I'm going to put 20 rounds of subsonic ammo through this. Now, this is just on the factory settings, and I'm not running a suppressor on this. I don't have any suppressor personally that will go on this muzzle device, and I should talk about that in a little bit. It's a really cool muzzle device. But 300 Blackout pistols should run subsonic without problem. So let's see if I have any issues and how this gun shoots.
Bolt didn't hold back.
Gotta write that right. Gotta write that
All right, so the gun is exceptionally accurate, and I would expect nothing less from Q, but I did have two function issues. I had one failure to feed, and of course, the bolt did not hold open on the last round, and both of those are indicative of short stroking, or the gun being undergassed. Now, if you have been following my channel for any length of time, you may have seen this gun. Now, this is one of my personal SBR builds. It's built off of a Seekins lower and upper receiver. It is also chambered in 300 Blackout, and when I first built this, I had a lot of issues running subsonic ammo unsuppressed. Now, Seekins says it should run, but I had to have the gas port bored out a little bit more to get a little bit more gas in the system, and now it runs perfectly fine, both suppressed, unsuppressed, sub, and supersonic. It's a fantastic gun and a lot of fun. So when I shot this, I was kind of surprised because Kevin Brittingham and Q know what they're doing when it comes to 300 Blackout. I also double checked with D, the owner of this gun, to see, hey, did you adjust the gas block on this? Because it is an adjustable gas block. He says, no, it is the factory setting. So I was kind of expecting it to run perfectly with subsonic, but we had just a couple issues, nothing that would really concern me, and I could tell that if I was going to run this suppressed, I would have no issues whatsoever. And that brings me back to this muzzle device. It is a really cool muzzle device. I believe they call it the Cherry Bomb, and it uses Q's thread-on system. It is a really cool looking little muzzle device there, and I love this adapter that goes over the top when you're running it unsuppressed. It looks very attractive, and the color even matches the firearm. So I love that about this gun too. So as I said, we only had just a couple of issues, nothing that really rings any alarm bells. So now I'm going to set the target out at 25 yards. I'm going to load this thing up with supersonic. I'm assuming it's going to run just fine, so we'll see how the gun kicks and how accurate it is with a little bit different ammo at a little bit further distance. All right, and as expected with the higher pressures of supersonic ammo, we had no reliability issues whatsoever. So the gun ran perfect, which is what I would expect. But shooting this supersonic, I noticed it had a lot more recoil, which is to be expected. And this brought up another problem that I discovered with this particular brace. Now, this brace is designed to be a PDW brace and very compact. It has a little bit of area here for a cheek weld. Well, the length of pull on this is kind of awkward for me because I found that my cheek was rubbing up on the corner right here on this little pad. And so with the higher recoil tendencies of the supersonic ammo, it was digging into my face. And this is only a 2-position brace. It is either all the way out or it's all the way in. There's nothing in between. And I kind of feel like you should have a couple of other notches there to get a better length of pull. So when it came to my personal shooting style, I kind of felt this was not comfortable at all. I would have to hold my face a lot closer to the firearm, which is not as comfortable to me in order for this to be right on my cheek and not kind of dig in. So I don't like that. And maybe it's just me and my body shape and size, but that was a little bit uncomfortable. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is give my son a chance to shoot this. Now, I will tell you, we started having more and more issues with the subsonic ammo. So I'm only going to show you the shooting footage of him shooting this thing with supersonic ammo. Now, the reason I brought him to the range is I'm a big fan of Second Amendment advocacy. And you would think, being the son of the Texas Gun Vault, you would all be into guns. Well, you know how kids are these days. They're more into video games than they are firearms, which is fine with me. That's what they care about. But when my son saw that I had a honey badger into the Texas Gun Vault for review. He's like, oh, I know what that gun is. I shoot it in one of the video games that I play. I said, well, do you want to go to the range? You can actually shoot it for real. And this is actually how I got into firearms, because I used to play a game called Rainbow Six, and I really wanted to shoot a Benelli M4 and an HK MP5. And I got to do that, but I thought those guns were so cool, and it kind of lit a little spark in my mind. And now I'm a huge Second Amendment advocate. So every chance I get to take my kids to the range, if they're interested, I always want to give them that opportunity. So I thought it'd be really cool to see a novice shooter shooting the Honey Badger, a gun that he likes to shoot in his video games. Now, I will say my son is very safe with firearms, and I'm very proud of him. We always go over and review gun safety every time we go to the range, and when we had issues with that subsonic ammo, he did everything that he was supposed to. Finger off the trigger, always kept the gun pointed down range, so I'm super proud of him, even though he doesn't go shooting anywhere near as much as I do. But anyway, I just wanted to show you some footage of him shooting it as a novice shooter and kind of see what his thoughts are and how well he shoots it. So let's see how he does.
Red dot's on. If you want to shoot this, pull this back and push it. Like that. See the laser down there? So, you can use laser sight slightly off of the bullseye.
Well, he did tell me it kicked a lot more than what he was expecting. He shot a lot of AR-15s when I do drag him to the range, and he said this felt a lot different, but he really liked it and thought it looked really cool. His favorite aspect of it is the color, and I totally get that. It's a really, really interesting color, and it's like nothing else that's offered on the market. So, now that I've given my son a chance to shoot this, as always, I want to give my wife a chance to shoot this. She likes to shoot every gun that comes through the Texas Gun Vault because we get that female perspective, and a perspective from somebody that's a different size and shape than me. I'm kind of a guy with a big old dad bod, and my wife is kind of short and skinny. So let's see what she thinks about shooting this and how she handles the recoil. Now, my wife's experience with this gun, and more specifically the brace, was the opposite of mine. She likes to have very short length of pulls, and this was just simply too long for her, and it was not very comfortable. She's also cross-eye dominant, which gives it another issue because she's having to kind of turn the gun just a little bit, so there was no comfortable place for her cheek. And the fact she could only shoot supersonic through it, it wasn't as comfortable as she was expecting. Once again, she's used to AR-15s and 5.56, and they just hit a little bit softer. So I think it mainly had to do with the fact that this brace just did not conform to her face, just like it didn't conform to mine, but for different reasons. It wasn't as comfortable to shoot. And I don't know if there's any type of accessory that can be added to this that would help it in any way, but maybe that's something a company can come up with, or at least add a couple of different notches on this telescoping stock for a length of pull change, besides it just being all the way in or all the way out. But overall, she shot it well. She shot it very accurate, had no problems with it. It just wasn't very comfortable for her. Alright, so the last test, because I'm running out of ammo, is going to be the quick magazine change. I'm going to put 2 magazines through this and just see, can I change the magazines fast in case you're a competition shooter or you want to use this for home defense. And if an average gun guy like myself that doesn't really train for this type of scenario can do it fast and accurate, well, you definitely can too. The first magazine is going to be supersonic. The second magazine is going to be subsonic. So maybe I can change that magazine fast and hopefully I won't have any issues with that second mag, but you never know. So let's just see what happens. Can I change this magazine fast? And will the gun run both on supers and subs?
Could be a number of things. Could be dirty, could be the bullet, could be grip, could be a lot of things.
So I was pretty happy with that quick magazine change. This gun has the same manual of arms as an AR-15, so if that's what you're used to, well, you're going to be just fine. And as you saw, the supers ran great, the subs did not. So I am a little bit disappointed with this gun, not being able to run that subsonic ammo unsuppressed. So let's talk about what my final thoughts are with the Q Honey Badger, a gun that is really famous, well known, and loved by many. Well, as you notice, there's a few things about this that I like and don't like, and I have a few complaints, mainly with how it fits my body. I believe the other stocks that are made by Q, and I should say braces as well, for companies like Novice, they have more options for lengths of pull. I just wish it had that kind of halfway notch. I think it would fit me a little bit better and be a little bit more comfortable on my cheek. Same thing for my wife. Overall though, you can tell that this is a well-built and designed firearm. There's no complaints there. I love the color and I love the idea of what this gun is supposed to be, built around the 300 Blackout. But this gun costs a lot of money. And I'm going to say something here that I know is probably going to offend some people. It's just an AR-15. Now yes, there are high quality ARs and there are low quality ARs, but I've built many ARs, and when I look at this, and if I take away the fact that this is a specialty receiver designed just by Q, for Q, well, I look at all the different parts and go, you know, I could buy all this separately and put it together myself. I know everything that goes into a firearm like this. I don't know if it's worth the price. I didn't enjoy it enough for that price point. Although when you buy a Q Honey Badger, you're not buying the gun, you're buying the name. It's like buying a Rolex watch. I have always wanted a Rolex watch. I may or may not ever get to own one. But when you buy a Rolex watch, does it do anything the cheap Casio from Walmart does differently? Well, no, they both tell time pretty accurately. In fact, maybe the Casio tells better time because it's electronic. But the Rolex is the brand name. It's a status symbol, and that's what Q is. It's a status company. Q is a high quality and well-known manufacturer owned by a very influential designer. So when you pay for a Q, you get a Q quality. But when it comes to its function, is it any different than many other ARs out there on the market? I really don't think it is. I really think that you can make a gun, while it might not be a Q Honey Badger, you can get pretty darn close to this for a lot less. Now granted, it might not be the latest and greatest with the same color scheme, but I built this gun for a lot less than the cost of the Honey Badger. But it does about the same thing in the same size package made from quality parts. So if you want something like this, a very short 300 Blackout, well, if price matters, you might want to go a different route. But if you like the status of a Q, well, get yourself a Q. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think it's a fantastic gun, and I'm only mainly disappointed with how ergonomic it is for me and the fact that using the factory settings, I could not run subsonic ammo through this. I really feel like I should unsuppress. But I know if I popped a suppressor on that to get that extra back pressure, it would run just fine. But those are some kind of medium, intermediate level gripes, I guess. But the big thing is the price as well. So on my star system, how would I rate the Q Honey Badger? Well, taking everything into consideration, the subsonic ammo issue, the price, kind of the quality of the finish here, I'm only going to be able to give this thing 3 out of 5 stars. It was not the most comfortable gun to shoot with this brace. So I know that may disappoint some people because I know this is one of those guns that is held up on a pedestal by many other YouTubers and reviewers and say, it is the greatest thing since sliced bread. And it's definitely cool, and it's definitely high quality. It's just not the gun for me. And my rating system is based off of my personal preferences, opinions, and experiences. And for me, this is just a 3 out of 5 star gun. I don't think I really want one. So you guys know why, and I told you why. So I'm curious how many people I'm making mad with that comment. I'm sure there's a few people out there that are frantically typing, "You're an idiot, this other YouTuber says it's the greatest thing ever, you need to go watch this review." And I've probably actually seen that review, but I make this from my own personal experiences, and I like to document those and share my thoughts with you because I like to give people as many data points as possible. So there you go, my range report and review of the Q Honey Badger. A really cool little 300 Blackout pistol based off of the AR-15 platform, like nothing else. It is really interesting, and I can't wait to review the Novice Ghetto Blaster, which is Novice's version of this, and that's kind of next on the table. So we'll see how that thing compares to this one. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. Did I get it wrong? I know some people are going to think I did. So, as always, thanks for watching.